Imagine That, the podcast where we explore the magic behind the magic of your favorite theme parks. Join us as we pull back the curtain on the creative process, storytelling, and design principles that make Disney parks and beyond so immersive. Whether you're a lifelong fan, a curious creative, or just love spotting the details most people miss, you're in the right place. So get ready to tap into your imagination as we take a deeper dive into the lands, attractions, and stories that bring the parks to life. Let's imagine that together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Imagine That. I'm your host, Amanda, and I'm joined by Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are sitting in our Imagineering armchairs talking about Galaxy's Edge through the lens of the Imagineering Pyramid. So, before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Sunken City Designs, Getaway Today, and Where in the Park. And of course, big shout out to our lamplighters, our Patreons who are keeping that conversation going over on our Discord, which if you have not yet joined, you totally should. It is free. It's a lot of fun. We're in there. The whole Walt's apartment crew is in there. And you just need to come hang out with us and talk all things theme parks all the time. So click on the link in the show notes and come hang out with us. All right. So before we dive into our blue sky session, Kevin, give us a brief history of Galaxy's Edge.
All right, so Star Wars, I'm assuming everybody is familiar with. If you're from, I don't know where you're listening from. So if you don't, so Star Wars came out in 1977. It's a film by George Lucas, and it's famous for being the kind of like it changed the way we saw sci-fi films and kind of this way we saw movies in general. It kind of changed the industry in its own way. So again, not a big part of what we're gonna be talking about today, but that's what it is. So that's Star Wars, right? There's been a total of 9 main movies with I think 2 spin-offs and then a few different TV series over on Disney Plus. There's been some animated shows as well. It's kind of a big universe, right? And knowing that it's a big universe, they announced back in 2015 at D23 over here in Anaheim uh, that there was going to be a 14-acre themed land both at Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios themed to Star Wars. And it was kind of a big deal. We didn't know what it was going to be. And ground ended up breaking on both of those at the same exact time. So they were working on Star Wars Land, as everyone was calling it, back on April 14th, 2016. The name of the land was actually announced at D23 Expo in 2017, where they announced that it was going to be Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And that was kind of confusing and I don't know, it was exciting to some and frustrating to others, I suppose, because we were hoping, I say we, some people were hoping that it was going to be based on an actual spot within the Star Wars universe that people were familiar with, like Tatooine, um, or Dagobah, something like with like areas that we've been to before within the movies. But the Imagineers decided that no, that would be I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. I guess that's kind of why we're doing this right now, is because things are starting to change. So spoiler alert, things will be changing in this. Um, but they wanted to have it where it would be its own experience, so that way we would be experiencing a world of Star Wars that no one else had ever been to, and it would have it where the stories of Star Wars are still true there, and there should be characters from the stories that we know that will appear there, but it as a land, it was based on a planet that they created just for the parks, and that land is called Batu. That's what we ended up being told, right? Um, so it's Batuu, Batu. Technically, it is part of like where the main part of this land is Black Spire Outpost. It's one little town on the planet of Batu. And then there's also the outskirts of that town where there is a resistance base where you will find Rise of the Resistance. Rise of the Resistance wasn't open with the land. The land's actually opened at different times. Back at Disneyland on May 31st of 2019 is when that one opened. And then a few months later, not until August 29th of that year, the Walt Disney World version opened over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Um, Rise of the Resistance was, yeah, the dates that they were going to be opening were revealed on July 11th of 2019. So that's still months later. I guess it was a month before the one in Walt Disney World opened, but it was months after the Disneyland version opened. And they announced that at Walt Disney World, it would be opening on December 5th, and over in Disneyland, it wouldn't open until January 17th, 2020. And as we're recording this, it's actually a 6-year anniversary to the day of Rise of the Resistance opening at Disneyland. And
Oh,
yeah, so
happy
that's
anniversary.
that's the story behind that. I mean, I guess that's the timeline. There's more information, obviously, there always is, but we can talk about it. We don't have to just have this be me mumbling through this episode. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember when they first announced it, I was excited about it. I was also very optimistic and hopeful that existing Star Wars attractions like Star Tours would be moved back there. And that did not happen. So that is on my list for this blue sky session to do something about that. But um my big thing with um Galaxy's Edge, one, there's a lot of different names, as you mentioned. There's Galaxy's Edge, there's Black Spire Outpost, there's Batu. You know, what do we call it? I know so many people just call it Star Wars Land. Um, but so I think right off the bat, it was very confusing for us of like, wait, what is this? And like you mentioned, this is a place we've never been to before, but we're gonna see some familiar characters. So um very interesting idea for a land. Um, but it turned out gorgeous, right? We could all agree on that. The rock work, stunning. Um, I always say that there's a temperature change in the transitions from Galaxy's Edge to any of the other lands that you go to from there. I feel a difference in temperature. It feels cooler, um, and just the way that they've made the walkways so you can't see what's around the bend and you are entering into another world um, very intentionally. And you turn around and you can't see the land you just exited from. So where that falters though is at Disney's Hollywood Studios, where you can clearly see Toy Story Land in Batu, and that bothers me to no end, that you can now see even more so with the new snack cart that they just put there, but, um, yeah, that transitioning we need another bend in the pathway there, for that transition to work properly for me, but at Disneyland, they got it down pat.
All right. But as far as the Imagineering Pyramid goes, right?
Yes.
Um, I don't know if we want to just go right into this so we aren't here for hours.
Let's go.
Um, because again, I have so much more to say as far as like, who worked on this project, but it doesn't really, I guess, matter at this point. Oh, I
It
guess we should bring
does,
up
yeah, you can
we
mention.
should bring up we should bring up why we're even talking about this. A few days
Sure.
ago, as we're recording this on January 17th, like I said, I think it was January 15th, 14th. Um,
14th.
on January 14th, they announced that they were going to be changing Disneyland's version of Galaxy's Edge to also include some of the original trilogy storyline. So it's not going to be changing over at Walt Disney World's Disney's Hollywood Studios just yet. It might change down the road. I think it's kind of they're testing the waters on this, or they're just trying to the spread out. I know that they've kind of made more effort in recent days. I say days, years, I guess, to have it where you have unique experiences on both coasts. Because for a while they were just kind of cloning things, and it just kind of got like, why do you realize the people go to these parks on like both sides? They saw it as kind of a once in a lifetime experience for most people or something, which I guess is still true. Don't get me wrong, but there are some of us who do visit the parks on both coasts either once a year or every other year. So to be able to experience something brand new makes a lot of sense to have. So having it where something changes over here but not over there isn't crazy. Um, but yeah, so that's the storyline is that they want to change the story because right now, um, like you're saying, they included characters from Star Wars, but it was mostly Star Wars characters from the newer films. Because like I said from the timeline, right? They announced this back in 2015 which I think is around when The Force Awakens came out. And then they didn't open it until 2019, which is about when the last movie from that, The Last Jedi, came out. I think it's the last one. I feel like I'm missing one
Somewhere
in
around
my
there.
head. But anyway, not important. Again, we're not here to like go into like our extreme knowledge of Star Wars, but the whole point though is that when they were working on it, there was a corporate synergy incentive to have it where this land or these two lands were based on the new movies being created by Disney because these were the first movies for Lucasfilm created by Disney. I guess I left that out of the storyline too. So Lucasfilm was the company that created these Star Wars films. They ended up being purchased by Disney, and I didn't write down the year, but it was obviously before 2015. So they now owned Star Wars outright, and that's the reason why they were like, "Hey, let's build a land with this property that we now own." So that's where that whole like idea came into fruition, and that's why you have the corporate synergy of the newer movies. And people are, I don't know, some people have it where you think, "Hey, leave the past in the past. We're just going to focus on what we're currently working on and go ahead." People are going to love this so much they won't even care about the older movies, but as time has gone on, that hasn't really been fully true. Most people, when they think of Star Wars, they still think of that original trilogy with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and all the stuff. Again, if you've not heard of these movies, go check them out. They're a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah. Just
we're
pause
gonna keep,
this, go
yeah,
watch all those, and then come back.
yeah, exactly. We might drop spoilers here, so we're not here to spoil the movies for you, but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so it all begins with a story, right? That's
it
the
does.
cornerstone of the Imagineering Pyramid. One of the two, and it's kind of a big one. So for this one, like we said, like they decided the story wasn't going to be, hey, you are reliving the movies of Star Wars. It's you are living a new experience in the universe of Star Wars. And this recent pivot makes that a little less clear, I guess. Now it could be that you were entering the film of Star Wars because you were going to have John Williams music playing. I don't know if you guys have been listening to the Walt Productions shows. We mentioned this on the live show. I know Courtney and Joey mentioned this on the Extra Magic Hour. So we want to rehash everything they said as well. But yeah, there's going to be music from John Williams, who did the score for all the Star Wars films, all the main Star Wars films. He didn't do Rogue One. That was Michael Giacchino, but he's not part of this as far as I know. Again, I'm just going off tangents here. But the storyline, though, it will now be that you are going into the world of Star Wars, and it might feel more like you were in a film. And the reason for that is obviously because of people feeling like they are just kind of in a quiet area. Because if you go into Galaxy's Edge today, and if you've been there within the last whatever 6 years since it opened, um, which is crazy, 6.5 years,
That
um,
is crazy.
it feels like it just opened in my head still. Um, But yeah, so if you've been there though, there are a lot of quiet areas. And I've read that the reason for that is because when they were developing this land, there was a lot of work put into this concept of live action role playing. So the idea was that you would have a lot of actors within the land who would interact with you kind of on a one-on-one basis. So you didn't want to have loud music playing as they were like giving you secrets on what was happening with the First Order or with the Rebel Alliance and stuff like that because there was supposed to be a storyline that you were part of. Um, and it never really came to be within the park. I know that the Galactic Star Cruiser hotel that they opened over at the Walt Disney World side had a little bit of that element built into it. And I heard it was really fun, a great time. We unfortunately didn't make it out there while that was running. Um, but the idea though behind it was that you would have that storyline within the park just as a regular day guest as well. But when they first opened Galaxy's Edge back at the middle of 2019, right to the end of 2019, they were more concerned about it being so packed full of people that you wouldn't be able to experience anything there. Even when it opened with just one attraction, there's still so much you can walk around and see that they had like a whole plan where you had to have like, wristbands, you had to have like a boarding pass to be able to get into the planet. And they were really more concerned about crowd control than the interactive element of it, with the plan to unveil that later. Is kind of the way that they would. I mean, I didn't get any official notice from that. That was the rumor mill behind it. I think people were kind of leaking, like, "Hey guys, we get that right now it's not what it's supposed to be, but it's going to get better." Then obviously, 2020 came around and the COVID-19 pandemic shut everything down, and it kind of put everything on its ear over here, where it felt like they kind of just were like, how about the land is fine the way it is, to kind of try to do a Jedi mind trick on us. And yeah, so it feels like this is a attempt to fix what didn't work. I don't know. Have you heard about any of this matter? Or am I just telling you this all for the first time?
No. Um I've heard that. My thing with it all begins with a story is that you are on the outskirts of, the outer rim. You are on a planet that kind of, or a section of the galaxy that, you don't really know what's going on. You have some, some, maybe some nefarious characters, or something like that. Like, all of these different cultures are coming together at this spot. Where I get lost, though, is the characters themselves, because every single character that's out there is a character that I know. So this is no longer a galaxy on the outskirts, the outer rim. It's, here's all your friends. Like, here, like, I shouldn't know everybody. So right from the start, I was like, okay, well, what is it? The story isn't lining up for me. So I think with them changing this narrative, that, that was announced this past week, of, we're adjusting the time frame. So you are gonna have Luke, Leia, Darth, on one side, and then you're gonna have Ray over at Rise of the Resistance, and then Kylo is gonna be in Tomorrowland. Um, you know, that's a whole nother side thing, but having like separate zones to retell, I don't know if this is retelling the story. Like, I don't understand. Help me understand what the point of this new story is.
Again, no one knows what the point of the new story is, but I do want to point out though what you're saying all the stuff about how we have this land where we don't know who anybody is. Back in 2019, when they were coming out with this land, they actually came out with two novels and a comic book series. All that year, that's the only time they've had anything to try to get you into this universe. Um, there's a book called Black Spire that's all about Black Spire Outpost. That one's all about a character named Vi Marati, who's actually a character who was in Galaxy's Edge that most people probably don't know who she is. She's like yeah, she's just there. I feel like I've only seen her one time, or maybe I only noticed her one time after I read the book. I knew what to look for. Other times I think I probably just assumed she was a guest who was in a fun costume, because she
Right.
doesn't look like super Star Wars. She just looks like she's wearing kind of a fun little orange vest thing, and yeah, has
Yeah.
blue hair. So yeah, the other book is like Crash of Fate, which again, I read it, but it wasn't that Star Wars. Like it didn't really get me into the world of Galaxy's Edge. Didn't really help me to like understand more about this land. Whereas Black Spire really goes into the detail of why the Rise of the Resistance attraction is in that area where it's like a cave with waterfalls and stuff on the outskirts of the land. The comic book series had some fun elements, nothing that really pushed the story forward too much. I know there's like a Han Solo section in there, which does tie into this new update where Han Solo is actually going to be in the land finally.
Yeah.
So as far as what story they're trying to tell, it sounds like they're just dialing the timeline back a little bit just for the section of the park that is not the outskirts of town. So if you go to the outskirts of town, you've now walked into the future where Kylo Ren does exist, just not as a walk around character, but he is still on the attraction there. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. That's why you have Ray over there. I've heard the Vimerati's also going to be over there. Um, if you listen to the Extra Magic Hour, Joey mentions that as well. So yeah, so I don't know. As far as what we're
It's
going to
weird.
experience when they do release it, um, I don't think we said the date, April 29th, 2026. So we have a few months still before they finally unveil this for the world to see what they're talking about over at Imagineering. Um, yeah, it's gonna have it where we walk into the world, and instead of Kylo Ren over there, and the First Order, it's going to be Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers have taken over Batu, and or I guess specifically Black Spire Outpost.
I just don't get it. I
Will they
don't
still
I don't
have the
understand.
game on the phones? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we have Kylo's ship docked
They
in
might
the
change that.
corner. You're gonna change an entire ship.
It's just a ship. I mean, they've changed bigger things.
Okay, so we need that ship changed over at the Fantasyland entrance um side, like of
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge. Um yeah, because that right there, if Darth Vader's walking out of the same ship, that's a problem.
No, I don't think I would be very surprised if they don't change that ship and the banners. I think that's about it that they have to change though. Everything else should stay the same.
Hmm.
It's a pretty
Again,
minor
I
cosmetic change.
I have a lot of questions, but I trust the Imagineers and I know that they're going to create something great and I applaud them for willing to mix things up and try new things. And I do love Galaxy's Edge. It's great during the day, it's great at night. I'm very curious about the music. I love John Williams, just hands down. But I still want sections of the land to have no music. Like, especially
Yeah.
you'll have a transition from the marketplace to the resistance base. If that stretch of walkway is just the animal noises rustling through the trees, I think
Yeah.
that would really be great. Um, because then, I mean, we talk about transitions of it being a sound transition as well, not just a visual one. And I think that would be really great to just kind of say, "Hey, you're entering into a new area," which I think is great about Galaxy's Edge in and of itself. Is you hear it first, and you hear the animals, and you're like, "Whoa, what is that?" through the trees and stuff. I love that about Galaxy's Edge because nowhere else at a Disney park are you going to experience that. So in that same way, so I think just keep it here and there. Love John Williams. Can't wait to hear the music. It's gonna be great. But be selective in where it's located. So,
Well, I'm sure it's going to be subtle, but yeah, but it also it's one of those things like again looking at the pyramid, kind of jumping around it in my
yeah,
like it's the small world effect. Right now, the music that you hear there, you'll occasionally hear the Cantina song. Don't get me wrong, as you're walking through Galaxy's Edge today. Um, there's a few areas like obviously in the cantina at Uga's Cantina, it does play there, but it also plays over kind of like by the marketplace. We go like not inside the marketplace, but that walkway underneath like whatever you want to call that thing that goes over your head for some reason, that connects to the marketplace.
right.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if that's clear enough, but over there, every once in a while, there's like a radio kind of playing, and it'll play the Cantina
Mhm.
song. I remember the first time I heard it was like years after the land opened. I'm like, wait, they play this over here? I had no idea. I feel like I'm actually in a Star Wars land all of a sudden. So I think more of that isn't a bad thing to have more of a feeling for, especially for the casual guest, like who isn't like us there, like, every few weeks to like take notes on how it's Star Wars. To have it where you just go there the one time, it's like, no, I feel like I was in Star Wars because they were like, even if you don't notice the music is playing, you'll feel it.
Right,
So that's kind of, I get it. Again, we have the theming, you have the small world effect, you have creative intent and attention to detail. I think all those kind of fit in there. As long as they get the transitions correct, I think it's going to be perfect. But I guess that is the big question mark that we have is will the transitions work? And
right.
I'm hoping that they do. Again, the music all makes sense within the different areas. Hopefully, yeah, we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah. Well, I think that right there is a perfect time to hear from one of our sponsors. So, if you are thinking about going to Galaxy's Edge, either at Disneyland or Disney's Hollywood Studios, then you need to call our friends over at Getaway Today and they will totally help you out with that. So, let's learn more about them. We'll be right back.
It's been a great show so far, but who's ready for an ad break? Did you know that the best way to keep our shows going is by supporting our sponsors? So, Let's get to know more about the travel experts at Getaway Today. They've been helping to make vacation dreams come true since 1990. And whether you want to visit the happiest place on earth or to travel to Orlando for a most epic adventure, they are there to help. Are you trying to find out which hotel is your best option or which theme park tickets will work best for your visit? Are you concerned that you might need a last minute change? No worries. Their travel experts will help you out. Looking to book a cruise but don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it's your first time or you're a well-seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today offers peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours before your trip. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon welcome. Getaway Today guarantees the best prices, with no hidden fees, and every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million have been donated. So go ahead and dial 1-855-GETAWAY, that's 1-855-438-2929, and be sure to tell them that Walt's Apartment sent you. Or just click the link in our show notes for more information and the best deals to start your Disney, Universal Studios, or cruise vacation planning. What I'm trying to say is, if you like to travel, check out Getaway Today. Alright, so now it's time to get back to enjoying that view from Walt's apartment. Let's get back to the show.
Absolutely. Call our friends at Getaway Today because even we have used them. And even if you are a well seasoned park goer, you can just call them and they know all the ins and outs about all the latest deals and tips and tricks and all that. So, highly recommend them. And yeah, we'll see you at the park.
And even if you don't need any help, they do have great prices, so go with them 100%.
Yeah. All right. So, back to Galaxy's Edge. Where in the pyramid should we go to next?
Your choice.
Well, my choice, dealer's choice. All right. Well, let's dive into our armchair Imagineering session and just kind of, blue sky, no wrong answers. Just how could we plus Galaxy's Edge? I kind of like threw out some of my things that I had.
Right.
Um,
I think
but
you've thought more about this than I have as far as improving it, but yeah.
no, it's no. I was just shooting from the hip. Like some it just as we're talking, some things just come out of like, hey, this needs to be fixed. And not that it's bad. I just I get lost in the story of it sometimes. Like my one of my big things of how to plus this is random characters should be roaming around. I want to
Yeah.
see like other species of people, right? There's no way we're on the outskirts of a galaxy and we know everybody. That should not be the case, right?
And that
Like,
everyone who we don't know is also human or humanoid, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Other
Like
than
what
other than Doc Ondor, right?
right.
Ondar, yeah.
And how great was that to see Doc Honor for the first time? And you're like, what? Like he stands up, he's a fully like audio animatronic with his little counter and everything. He's great. But we need more species. Even if it's just in little bits and pieces, not just on a screen. We could have live actors. They could even be part of a special mission, not the Disney Play app, but something more tangible, like the keys to the kingdom that they had over at Magic Kingdom, where you had something card based that interacts with different things, and you had to like you could in this iteration of it in Galaxy's Edge, where you have to interact with characters, the live actors, and show them a card, and something happens, or you do something and get a card that furthers the mission because there's a lot. in Galaxy's Edge with the Disney Play app, but I feel like people aren't taking advantage of it anymore. And so there's those spaces that can be retooled for something new. Because it's a great idea, the whole mission thing. Um, but reinvent it in a different way, I think.
No, we never really got into playing that. I wanted to. It's
Yeah.
just I know you had to use your Magic Band and the app, and it was always like my phone's almost dead, guys. I don't have time for this, and yeah, so it's just kind of
Yeah.
a weird thing. I know. I mean, it does feel like what I was saying before at the top of this is that it kind of feels like they're giving up on that after
Yeah.
the Galactic Star Cruiser not being a success, and after it kind of sitting there not happening for so long. I don't know if there were any rules that changed with unions and actors or something. They didn't want to pay for this anymore. Obviously, we still have characters over at Avengers Campus, which is great. Um, they're not doing the whole storyline. I hear that on the cruise line that they're doing it, so they are
Mhm.
capable of these kind of stories. I was listening to a recent, I don't even know what I was listening to, but they were talking about how over on the newest Disney cruise ship, it's doubled down on the storyline of like you need to work with the Avenger characters to like solve something. So
Oh,
so they are working on this. I don't know if they're gonna enroll that in the parks though, because then again, you don't have um the audience that's kind of like stuck in one spot for a period of days like they were
right.
trying to fabricate over there with the Galactic Star Cruiser was they were creating the illusion that you were on this like cruise ship and that you had to be with them to do these things. But everyone knew it's like, no, I'm not. I'm in a building in Florida. You're not tricking me. And again, it was just really expensive to do it, which is
Yeah.
probably really the problem with it. I don't think it was the gameplay that people didn't like because I feel like everyone who I've ever heard of who experienced it didn't complain about the experience. It wasn't that
Right.
it wasn't a good time. It was just that it cost so much to do, they couldn't get enough people to invest in this storyline, which means that it costs a lot to run. So will they invest in that for the parks? I don't know. In the short term, it sounds like this is their pivot away from that. I know the Joy went through a lot of things that they're adding, so I don't want to like say here are my ideas without going through what has been announced already. Just one more time, in case you missed the extra magic hour. Um, Oga's Cantina is still going to be Oga's Cantina, but it's going back in time. Like I said, they're just kind of dialing back the timeline. So it's going to be when she's starting the cantina instead of it being a cantina that she's been running for a while. Um, Han Solo is going to be over there. There is a storyline out there with Han Solo and Hondo Inaka from Smuggler's Run, like not, I guess, like working for each other, but kind of like working at the same time because they're both space pirates. So we'll see how they interact, if at all. Hondo Naka
Now,
isn't a walk around character; he's just an
yeah.
animatronic. So we'll see what happens with all this because
Yeah,
we don't
so
know what
I'm
the new storyline's going to be.
I'm
What's
super
up?
confused by that right there because with the new Mando and Grogu movie and
Mhm.
the new changes happening to Smuggler's Run with Mando and Grogu, now you're going to introduce new things with Hondo and Han? Like
Yeah, it's confusing.
what?
Yeah, I don't know how that's all going to combine either. Because if you think about the timeline, like that's definitely after Darth Vader is dead, right? Is that the story? I always forget the timeline for
Oh
the
no.
Mandalorian. But yeah, no,
Jody
Darth Vader's
question.
definitely dead because they're trying
Oh, for
to
Mando,
recreate
yeah.
Palpatine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
within the storyline of the Mandalorian, there is no Darth Vader. So it's weird that that's going to be a Mandalorian attraction with Darth Vader roaming the land.
Yeah.
So again, we'll see how that all works out. In my head, I keep going back to how I kind of skipped the whole thing about Scott Trowbridge. So this land was designed by, I'm sure, thousands of people, right? Let's be clear.
Yes.
But the guy who supervised the development was a guy named Scott Trowbridge. He's an Imagineering executive, still works for the company. But he started his career after, I guess, he worked at a Sanrio theme park in Japan in the 90s. But very soon after that, he started working for Universal Studios, and he's one of the few Imagineers who came from Universal instead of Universal creatives who came from Walt Disney Imagineering. Just from my understanding of it, I could be way wrong about that, but that's how it feels. But he worked for Universal from 1992 until September of 2007, and he actually worked on the initial development of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And the reason I bring that up is because the newest version of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter over at Epic Universe does this kind of weird time jump where
Right.
you start the land in the far past of the Fantastic Beast movies, but then the main attraction, all of a sudden you're skipping ahead generations to the Harry Potter universe. So it's kind of a weird like if they can do it, why can't we do it? I don't know if that's kind of what they're just kind of thinking in their heads.
Well, with that, you have you're traveling via the Flu network.
Blue powder doesn't they send you back in time?
I was
You
just
need a time
yeah.
turner for that. There's a time turner on the way into the portal,
See?
but there isn't another one heading into the attraction that I noticed.
No. No.
So again, it's a little confusing.
I yeah.
So again, the story's always taken place in the past because like Harry Potter's from like the 80s or something or like early 90s. As far as a human being, like storyline wise, not like the
Yeah, I was gonna say,
character.
what are you
I'm
talking
talking about
about?
the
Yeah.
character, not the book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So um so yeah, so it's always been like that took place in the past, but then the new storyline takes place further back in the past. And yeah, so it's kind of what they're doing here, where part of the land you are back a few more generations, but then other parts of the storyline you're jumping ahead. So if you get onto smugglers, if you get onto an attraction, all of a sudden you are time traveling into the future in both cases. Whereas wandering Blacksburg Outpost, you were still in the past. Is it allowed? Again, it's a theme park. Everything should be allowed. There should be no rules against it.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Well,
but it's just kind of weird.
I think too, because I'm thinking about all the other lands, right? And you have a bunch of different stories happening within the same land. I feel like Galaxy's Edge is different though because it is a Star Wars galaxy land.
Yeah.
And it's so I guess in the same way as like Fantasyland, you have all of these different Star Wars stories happening at the same time. And we all just go with it. Like, yeah, that's happening over here. Same with like Snow White's happening over here, and across the way is Peter Pan. Does that make sense? No. But we know that it exists in Fantasyland, and that's just fine. So I don't know. I think because like Fantasyland is a land of fantasy, Tomorrowland is a land of futuristic tomorrow, and Black Spire Outpost is a place. Like the so I feel like that it's different. Like New Orleans Square is New Orleans. It is a place. And if you just throw in something completely if you have like something from I don't know, like
Let's just say Winnie the Pooh in the Bayou. It'd be
that
absurd.
would make no sense. That's
Yeah.
absurd.
Why would anyone do that? It would like that'd be crazy.
See what I'm
So
saying?
there's precedence for this, apparently, is what I'm trying to say. Is sometimes they
Yeah,
go a little bit outside of the storyline of the land's theme, I guess. Um,
I guess so.
I don't know. I kind of think of Avengers Campus and Star Wars kind of in the same way of I don't know, it's kind of more of a toy box than a like solid movie, I guess.
Yeah,
Right? Where it feels like that's what they're turning Galaxy's Edge into, where it was more of a this is the time and place, we're set on this, and right from the very beginning, people were like, why would you do that to yourself? I've read this from Imagineers, I've read this from many people, or even heard it out loud from people saying like, why did you shoot yourself in the foot that way by narrowing it down so specifically? But I think after Harry Potter was such a big success with Hogsmeade, where that
yeah,
was in one set space and time, they thought, hey, this is the way to do it. Again, it's the same guy in charge of both of these projects from the beginning, at least.
right.
So that could be the reason why they thought, hey, this is going to be amazing. And it could have been, again, if they had all the actors in there and they had full costumes, they spent the money to do that, and they made it feel like you actually went to a foreign planet as soon as you got in there, and it was like, oh my gosh, I had the craziest experience. But I don't know, like how many times that'd be repeatable before it got a little bit like I don't want to say boring, but where it'd be like, yeah, no, there's only so many stories you can experience here, and I don't know if I want to keep going back to that land and have our people like try to make me solve their problems. I just want to go
Right.
there and have fun, which goes back to the toy box where With Avengers Campus, they don't care about a timeline. Again, with Marvel, that makes it easy because there is kind of a janky timeline to begin with. If you've been watching the movies or TV show, you know that the timeline is a
It's all over the
mess. And
place. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not like it's against all of the rules for Marvel. Whereas Star Wars, if you're playing with toys, obviously you can mix your Darth Vader with your Kylo and have them have a fight, and it wouldn't be a big deal. Within the park, if you see that, I'd be like, "What are you guys? Do you not know your storyline?
Right.
Like, there is a canon to the story. Make sure that you follow it. Otherwise, you're ruining everything for everyone." It's like back when they used to have the Star Wars celebration over at Walt Disney World, where you'd have like the dancing stormtroopers and Darth Vader, where it's a lot of fun. But there were people who would complain, being like, "Guys, this guy is a villain who's killed a whole lot of people. Why are we having him throw a dance party all of a sudden? This makes no
Right.
sense." So, so I
Yeah.
get it. Um,
Like
but yeah,
like I said in the Discord when this was first announced of like, "Oh, Kylo's gonna have a real shock when he sees Han walking around." Like, that's gonna
hey,
be
Dad, you
wild.
look so young. Yeah,
Like, "Wait,
it's
what?"
gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe they can hash things out. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Huh.
Change the timeline.
Yeah, so anyway, so as I was saying, stuff that was already mentioned, the First Order, cargo shop is turning into Black Spire Surplus, which I love because I always thought that shop was weird, because why is there a shop for the First Order that's taking over this area, and
Yeah.
doesn't really make a lot of sense. They don't have a huge presence there. They only have, like, 2 stormtroopers and a guy in a funny suit. So why are they running a shop run by, like, yeah, it was just weird. So I like the idea of it just being like, "Hey, this is stuff from the Black Spire outpost here." So I'm okay with this change. The Droid Depot is going to be run by the same family, just a younger version of that family, the Mobu family. I think you had a picture or something.
I
I didn't know the
do.
storyline. I was looking. Apparently, this has been true since the beginning. Where it's a Utai family. UTAI is this humanoid species where they have like some kind of like eyes kind of bugging out of their heads and kind of elongated forehead sometimes. So yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing where I've never seen this character. I don't know if there were ever plans to bring this character into the park, but they made the storyline that the family who runs the Droid Depot is this species. Um, so I don't know. It's just kind of odd as far as, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be improving that, well, like with this change, or if like they're keeping the family. They're saying it's a younger version of the Mobus. I don't know if that's supposed to be a first name or a last name, but MOBU is
Well,
the name of the proprietor of the Droid Depot. What's happening?
and again, I wanna see these guys walking around.
Oh, 100%.
If they are
If you
running
can
the
get
droid
people in
depot,
costumes there,
yeah,
so great.
somebody needs to be in costume like this running the droid depot. At least one.
You're breaking up a
If a
little bit over
need
here. I don't
be,
know if
if oh, you're breaking up
yeah,
a
I don't
little
know
bit
if
over
it's just
there.
my feed
So,
or if it's yours, but they got a little choppy. But the point though is it'd be great to see these, even if it was just like Doc
yeah,
Ondar, right? If it was an animatronic
yeah,
behind like a little fence or something, if you can see these people like working on droids, be like, oh wow, I understand now that I'm on another planet. Awesome.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
No,
also the droids are supposed to be changing.
sorry about our technical difficulties. It's because I did the share screen and I clicked
Oh yeah,
over.
it kills
That's
everything. That
why.
makes sense.
Yep. So I won't do that.
You know, yeah, that happens over here with StreamYard. That makes sense. Okay, so they're supposed to have older droids as well. Because right now, like I guess the one of the main ones they sell looks kind of like BB-8 from The Force
Yeah.
Awakens and that future trilogy, which doesn't take place in the timeline anymore. So they're gonna have more of like hoping for some like R5 units. So it's like the
Oh,
guy with the bad motivator, stuff
yeah.
like that. I might actually finally be tempted to get one if they have that. I think if you can see me
Sounds pretty
behind
good.
my screen, like over here,
Yeah.
I have like a little like toy of one over here because that guy's he's my spirit animal. Sometimes I also have a bad motivator. But anyway,
I thought they originally had a droid that
I don't
looked
know if
like
they had
him.
maybe.
No,
I don't remember. They
I don't
might still.
remember.
We don't go into that shop very often just because, like,
Oh,
again, it
no.
just feels like the same thing every time. It hasn't changed much over the last 6 years. So, yeah. I mean, I love R2, don't get me wrong. I like the droids out front that kinda, like, make funny sounds. There's like, an announcement back when, like, I was reading an old article from 2019 before the land opened, and they were talking about kinda, like, things that were being hyped up. It's like you could interact with droids in front of the droid shop, but, like, they just kinda make funny sounds. You don't really have that much of an interaction with them.
Mhm.
So, I don't know what we can improve on that. Oh,
I
I
have
see
an idea
Amanda
for
light
that.
bulb over here.
Light bulb moment. Okay, so going back to Universal, they have that talking fountain, right? Where
Yeah,
there is, I mean, Knott's Berry Farm has Sad Eye Joe. You know, they have the technology of being able to voice something from a distance, and that would be a great opportunity. You it would just be somebody pushing a button,
yeah.
but communicating with you via droid, where you could
It's
actually
true.
have a conversation with those droids.
Yeah, because
And
right now all the droids are just the beep boop type of droids. Like they
yeah,
don't have the C3POs or the K2SOs or anything where they can
yeah.
actually have a conversation. Or like, what's that little guy from Andor?
OB?
There you go. I needed to
Yeah.
remember. I couldn't at all. Yeah, so bring in
Yeah.
any of those, I'd be happy.
Oh, I would
Yeah,
love to see B.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
B from
heard that Dave
Andor.
Filoni like isn't a big fan of Andor for some reason, so we'll see what happens
Well,
with
that's
that.
upsetting.
I
That's really
know.
upsetting.
I know also, again, if you listen to the Extra Magic Hour, Joy did mention that there is a change in the management over at Lucasfilm,
Right.
where Kathleen Kennedy's been running it for the last 14 years, and she just recently stepped down. So now you have Dave Filoni, and I don't remember the name of the other lady who he's kind of like sharing the partnership with.
Yeah,
She hasn't been a big name in the like the fandom, I guess I should say. I'm sure if she was a big name within the company, they wouldn't put her in charge of anything
right.
if she wasn't. But I'm not familiar with her. But Dave
But it's
Filoni,
gonna be interesting.
yeah, like, he definitely loves Star Wars. He created the Clone Wars back in the day, and, like, obviously, a lot of the new TV shows, like, he's had a hand in. Um, but again, we'll have to wait and see what he ends up doing with the Star Wars line, because that was announced the day after this announcement, which is kind of odd as well. So, I don't
Yeah.
know if it was related. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have
Coincidence?
to we'll have to wait and see how much of that, like, correlates exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah, Joy also mentioned something about storyline saying that Darth is supposed to be looking for Luke Skywalker in this new update over here. So that's kind of interesting. So right now Kylo's been wandering around just kind of upset. Like I don't know what his goal has been. Like,
He's
have you
just
seen
upset about
like
everything.
any resistance, whatever, blah, 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 something?
Yeah.
So, so he has a more clear mission at least.
Why is he looking for Luke?
Because he's his. Oh no, I don't want to give spoilers.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
spoiler.
Again, full spoilers. He is Luke is his son, right? And he's also force
What?
sensitive, and there aren't that many force sensitive people within this time period here. So this makes sense that he would want him to be able to like, come over to the dark side. So yeah. I don't know
I
where the
thought
storyline fits in time wise, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I thought Luke Skywalker was a myth.
No, no, he's very real. All right. Yeah, so that's
Quoting
about
Ray.
oh, she'll tell you that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Did you say Luke
exactly.
Skywalker is a myth? I thought it was just the Jedi in general. Maybe both. Again, it's been so long since we've seen. But
But yeah, so other ideas to plus, we were talking about the radio situation.
yeah.
Definitely you gotta keep DJ Rex at Oga's. Um, he is a must. I love that they play music in the bathrooms. That's it's just so great to hear DJ Rex and all these different beats. I would love to see a version of K Not Radio from Knott's Berry Farm over here.
Have some
At
comedy in there.
Yes. So K Not Radio was uh this duo that would, I think it was scripted, but there was also a lot of improv going on. Um and they would play some music, but then they would also kind of do some comedy. And my favorite is the whole cloud piece of like This just in, we have a cloud. I repeat, we have a cloud. Back to you. And it was much
It
better
was
than
the
that,
weather
but
report or something, but yeah.
it's a weather report, but just something kind of silly, but have them be alien creatures. Like I said, like, don't have them be humans, have them be some sort of alien creature that we've never seen before. And then we get to know them. They can have names and um just have something going on. Um I the
I
only
know,
place
like,
where
we were
I
discussing this before, and I was saying,
yeah.
like, in episode 1, you have, like, the pod race, and you have those announcers, where it's, like, 2 heads on 1 body. Um,
Yes, that would be great.
I don't know who did the voices for those guys, but that species at the very least, the
But how would you do that?
Phobesid
How would you do
Onadu.
that live? Have
Oh, I
to
have no idea. I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
but
Well,
it
if
it
you do it
doesn't
as an
have to be
animatronic,
that, but
you know,
yeah. Everything just
yeah.
animatronic. Just make that happen.
Why not? I would love to see more animatronics instead of more screens personally. Again, that's just me, I guess.
Yes. Yeah,
Again, we don't work
definitely.
for the company. I'm sure they're like, "Hey, whatever costs the least." They could just be their voices. Then they could tell when. Oh, actually, Joey did mention that there is going to be a new comic book series releasing on April 22nd.
Oh,
So they're finally
that'll be
doing a
helpful.
follow-up comic book series that might tell more of the storyline. It might tell more of why Darth Vader is looking for Luke. We don't really know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But see, that's the other thing too, is that it
Greg
requires
Proops.
additional reading, right?
Greg still
Like
alive.
who?
Greg Proops.
Oh,
He looks like he's still alive. He was one of the voices.
there you
He
go.
was he used to be on Who's Line or whatever
Whose
back in
line
the
is it
day.
anyway? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, just throwing it out there. Get that guy back to do some stuff. I don't know who Scott Capurro is, but he's the other guy, the other head.
Perfect.
So yeah, again, I don't expect much episode 1 to appear in Galaxy's Edge because they've not said it's going to be going that far back in the timeline, but
But
we'll see.
again, you have a whole slew of like the sky is the limit with this, right? Just bring in some other species is all I'm
Yeah,
asking. Some
yeah.
way, somehow, an actual live actor or an audio animatronic, make it happen.
I know, like Sean on the live shows saying like they should bring in a Greedo to have inside of the cantina. If you're gonna have Han Solo walking around, think about the dialogue you can have between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just yeah,
What if
even
you
if it's not
had a
Greedo, just the
live
same species.
what if you
Yeah,
had
it
a
makes
live
sense.
like cantina band outside the cantina?
Wild.
Like wild.
Yeah,
That would be awesome though. But
yeah.
what is also wild and awesome is the art from our good friend Louis Medina at Sunken City Designs. So let's take a moment and hear from him.
Sunken City Designs brings you art. Do you like art? I know I do. How about art based on Disney characters, like Mickey Mouse and the Oyster Thief? That's actually from Alice in Wonderland, the best princess movie ever made. Also, we have some dwarfs that have their heads ripped off sometimes. Why? I don't know. It's because it's Sunken City Design. So go there, sunkencitydesign.com. Get yourself some great merchandise. You got posters and, I believe, clothes. Who knows? I got a cup from there and it's fantastic. You like cups? Do you ever use those? I do. Go for it. Oh yeah, sweatshirts. Can't forget about those. If you're ever cold, get yourself a sweatshirt from sunkencitydesign.com. Also, Wally. That's the best movie ever made. Second only to Alice in Wonderland. All right. If you obviously like Walt's apartment, they have merch for that too. Where? sunkencitydesign.com. Hopefully you've already loaded up that site and you're looking at it and you have some items in your cart. Go ahead and check out as soon as you can because the show's about to come back on. All right, everybody. We appreciate you.
We do appreciate Lou so much. Quick update on the website. It is Sunken City Designs, plural, with an S at the end, .com. And be sure to mark August 2026 on your calendar. The whole month of August, Sacred Art is a collection, an exhibit that Lou is putting together of his work as well as some friends of his. So it's going to be fantastic. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be in Southern California in the high desert area. So be sure that you are following Sunken City Designs on Instagram and all the things. And of course, we will be promoting the event as we get closer as well. But just wanted to put that on your calendar. August 2026. It's going to be the whole month long, but there's going to be a big celebration, I think the first weekend. But all the details will be announced in the near future. But lots of great things happening over there. So, yeah, there you go.
Wonderful.
All right. So, back to Galaxy's Edge.
All right, back to the pyramid, right? All right,
Yeah.
so we've covered a lot. We got it all begins with a story, creative intent, attention to detail, theming, long, medium, and close shots. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what I would change right now because again, the land is beautiful. If you haven't been there, I don't know who's listening right now, but if you haven't been to either of these, go there. They're beautiful just to walk around, even if it's not the updated version over in Walt Disney World. It's still gorgeous. They obviously had
Hmm.
artists make a world that feels real, and it's great. Um, but as far as changing that, I don't know exactly. I guess it kind of goes with the other item on the pyramid here is hidden Mickeys. And I was trying to think of like there aren't a lot of really like clear Easter eggs. There are a few like I could think of like over inside of like there's that shop across from the restroom in the marketplace where it's like
Hmm.
a woodworker shop, the Kashika something or other. Um, that one has some stuff in it that like you'll recognize as like Porgs and R2D2, and depending on the coast you're on, they're different things. Um, so that's interesting. I don't know like what else they can add to that to try to make it feel a little more like Easter eggy nods to things. I don't know if it has to be an actual Mickey Mouse. Obviously, I don't think there are
No.
any hidden Mickeys in Galaxy's Edge, but again, I haven't looked
There
for them.
are. Yeah, there are.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, to your point, I mean, you have like Ronto roasters, the giant thing that is cooking this giant beast of
Ronto.
the Ronto that the robot's turning. Um, that device that's heating it is a pod racer engine.
Oh, that's true.
So, different things like that. My thing though is they could really do more with the ships that are just stationed there.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot more that you could do, like story wise, and character development. Like, whose ship is that? Um, why is it there? Where are they? You know, um, back to having like more meet and greet kind of a things. But I don't want the land to just be meet and greet. You know, like w- I wish that we could get closer to these ships. I know that would be kind of a gray area because you'd have people climbing on them and all of that, but I think that there would be, the close shot, would be being able to go up and see what's inside these ships. Or, I don't know. Like you have the car at Buena Vista Street or the car at Grizzly Peak where you can actually see inside and kind of get the feel of who's driving those cars. And I feel like having that, but with these ships of, okay, they just traveled a great distance. Who are they? Where are they? What stories can you tell with those ships and the stuff around it? So I think there's an opportunity for that there.
Yeah, or at least create a type of ship that we can interact with. Because I get the
Right.
ones that are there are works of art, and like they'd have to have like no climbing signs on them, and
Yeah.
it would kind of take away from it, especially for the photo opportunity of the whole thing. So yeah, I think something that you can actually interact with would be a big improvement. Because like you're saying, a lot of
Hmm.
it is stuff that you see, not stuff that you actually interact with, and
Hmm.
that is a letdown. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about the ship's kinetics is something that I feel like we're all kind of screaming in our heads of like make a drone of a flying ship, like but again, that is such a fine line between looking amazing and looking tacky that I don't know. I'm sure they've tried it and they're like, "Oh no, that doesn't look right," you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A
it is
drone
tough.
would be really hard because right behind Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland is a street, is Disneyland Drive and Ball Road and houses and all of that. You don't have
Hotels, yeah,
open land. You have the parking structure, making Fred's parking structure right there. You don't, unless you utilize the top of the parking structure
yeah.
as your platform, but then you're still crossing over Disneyland Drive. Um, but where they could do this, I mean, granted, they have the sounds of ships flying overhead occasionally. Um, can they do some sort of projection on the ground where it's a shadow?
Mhm.
Um, where it's overhead, sure, but you at least get some shadow movement going across the road right in front of you or the building or something, um, to have the illusion of ships going by. Um, Also, speaking of ships, there is a ship that is on top of Docking Bay 7, and there's your hidden Mickeys right there. The numbers
Yeah,
on
with the
there
years, yeah.
with the years. But one of them is being lowered into Docking Bay 7. However, it is a static lower. Um, so I think that there's an opportunity there to have it lower out of sight and rise back up into the ship. Just to have that movement of like we are actually loading and unloading something here.
I can see that.
So
That'd be a good addition of kinetics. I guess again when we had Lou, not Lou Prosperi, but Louis Medina on the show well, not years ago, but months ago, I'm sure, kind of talking about kinetics and stuff. We had the conversation where it was like for Avengers Campus, where it's like, well, all of the characters are the kinetics. He's like,
right.
no, no, characters aren't kinetics. They are something else. So in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like the l- the kinetics come from the life of the characters moving around in the area, but I don't
And
know.
we also said too, like trees do not count as kinetics either. Just because the wind blows through the trees does not make it
Yes.
that part of kinetics.
Yeah. All
So
right. Um, just looking at this list here, readability, we've already kind of like I think covered to death over here. So
yeah,
we'll see how readable it is. It is kind of a choose your own adventure jumping story of timeline, but
right.
it could be fun. Again, if
It's
it's just like a toy box and they make it where you're having a good time, what does it even matter at that point? So
right. And the readability is there. You do feel like you're on another planet when you're
oh
there.
yeah,
You can't see
definitely.
anything else when you're there. There's certain areas where you can see Batu from other areas, but you can't see anything outside like what when you're in Batu, you can't see other lands from inside Batu. I don't think.
I can't. I mean, other than over at Walt Disney World when you're looking at Toy Story Land,
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
but that's
Sorry, I was
about it.
just thinking Disneyland. But yeah.
Yeah,
So I think the readability is there that you are immersed in this land. It's just the story of it needs to make sense.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
then
the way you were talking
uh
about going up close to things, I don't know
yeah.
if you want to talk about Where in the Park real fast as we're kind of
Yeah.
winding down this episode.
Indeed.
Over at the Where in the Park podcast, again, Where in the Park, we make games so you play at theme parks, so you can find unofficial games for all kinds of theme parks. A really great time. If you've never heard of us before, check us out, whereinthepark.com. Um, but again, there we have a podcast, and I was working on a script for one all about the history of Legoland. And looking up Legoland, there's a video out there of the original Legoland over in Berlin, Germany. Is it Germany? No, Denmark. Sorry, I said Germany for no reason. They have anyway, over in Denmark, right? Berlin, Denmark. Um, right by the factory, they opened what they called Legoland, where it's just a bunch of figures of Legos, and they made like full size. It's just like how it looks if you go to a Legoland today over here in California or anywhere in the world, I guess. They have what they call mini land now, but over there, the very first Legoland, like that's all it was. You were going up to look at these models. But there was one part of the video where it was like a guy and his son, and they were like up on the models.
Mm.
Like they were like you can Godzilla these things if you wanted to. I was
Uh-oh.
like, oh wow, they had a lot of trust in humanity back in the 60s. That's so sweet. So I think that's one of those things where if you go to any Legoland, at least here in the US, you won't see that. Like the Legos are off,
Mm.
like there's a divider between you and the models. You can't knock them down or touch them. So that's how I was picturing when you were talking about the vehicles over there in the Rise of the Resistance area of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, where it's like they have that wall up because they know that if you don't, you're going to have destroyed um,
Yeah,
destroyed figures there, some
that's
destroyed
very true.
vehicles.
That is very true.
So
There's a way to prevent that while still having, you know, the ability to
yeah,
have up
have a
close
person there with a spray
encounters.
bottle, just like get
Sure.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know protected by sign doesn't work.
No.
So yeah,
No, it
we've seen
doesn't.
that at many theme parks with people all over their figures right next to a do not climb sign, and nobody cares. So yeah, so it's tough. I
But
get why
anyway,
they would have it the way they do. So so anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about War in the Park other than
yeah, come check us
Legoland?
out. Yeah, our next we have a episode drop every Friday. The next episode is about the history of Legos and Legoland. And our previous episode, which as this episode is airing on the 19th, happy National Popcorn Day. And
What?
yeah, and so our last episode this past Friday was all about toasty or roasty toasties. I always want to say
Or
toasty
Toasty
roasties,
Roasties? Because that
and
was the original name, right? It was a Toasty Roasty Man. So
it was a toasty
they
roasty band,
they
but
flipped
at
it. Yeah,
Disneyland, at Disney parks, we call them roasty toasties.
yeah.
So
So there are no real rules, just like everything else here. So
that's right. But yes, we cover the
yeah,
history of roasty toasties and where you can find them at
yeah.
Disney parks,
Those are
which
the
is
little guys inside
not,
of the popcorn carts for
yeah,
anyone who doesn't know what we're
yeah,
talking about.
the ones that
Yeah.
like turn the little drum. There, you will not find them at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which I would like to see them. That would be super cute. You could easily have a droid, easy peasy. But
You
they
know,
have a
that's a
different
good point.
popcorn
I guess
maker.
you could have had that guy's an honorable mention, the guy like turning the Ronto leg over at Ronto Roasters. He's kind of
Oh,
roasty toasty
he's
in a
like a
way.
toasty roasty.
Yeah, he's a
Oh,
toasty roasty man in a way. I didn't
oh,
think
how
about that until
sad.
right now. Because right down
He
the
is
way from
literally
him is where
turning
you
him.
have the popcorn shop that doesn't have them.
Mm,
Because again, that this whole land was designed for both coasts. And over Walt Disney World, they don't have any of these as far as we can tell. So it makes sense why they wouldn't have had him over there. So anyway,
man,
yeah,
didn't
right.
think
Just
about
blow
that.
minds.
Sorry,
So
dude.
that's just for you guys listening to us over here. And imagine that.
Yeah,
That's why you have to listen to all of our shows. We'll fill in the gaps over here. So
that's
anyway,
right.
yeah. Do you have
So
anything else
yeah.
about Star Wars? Or I mean, I guess like I can't imagine them adding a new attraction. I could see them.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, if it's
So
a huge success, I can see them eventually changing Rise of the Resistance over to like Darth Vader and stuff. Only if it's a huge success where they sell a lot of Darth Vader merch. That's because that's really what
yeah.
moves the needle, right? So
Yeah. What they need to do, and what I alluded to, so thank you for mentioning that, is Star Tours needs to go to Galaxy's Edge. It just
where
does.
would it fit?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let me pull up the map. Sorry if we lose
Okay,
internet
perfect.
connection. Um, no, but
So
this is
true.
important. All right, right here. So this is Batu West, right?
Oh,
This
where
is
we
at
can't see your
Disneyland.
cursor on this guy, so you have to
That's
like
okay.
describe it with words.
That's okay. We're here. So this whole area here, this is all Batu at Disneyland. Okay. So this part right here, that is the Falcon, right? This little thing here. But over
Yeah.
here, where you have Oga's right
Hmm.
there. If you're not watching us on YouTube, come join us on YouTube so you can see what I'm talking about. But all of this back here, you have the first order cargo. the Kylo Ren's TIE fighter, which again should not be Kylo's ship if Darth Vader's walking around. But this whole area back here, what is happening?
Stage.
Nothing.
Hmm.
Either you're gonna make a walkway where this road is here, a pathway to Toontown, or utilize this space for a third attraction,
What
like Star
are
Tours. It would totally fit
size-wise?
right
I
here.
mean,
Let me go
go
over to
down to
Star
Star
Tours.
Tours. Yeah.
It's right here. It's right here.
Oh, that's not that big.
It's not that big.
Okay.
So you
Hmm.
could totally take this whole thing, throw it
Just
over
plop it
here,
over.
just plop it over. This is all like cargo ship anyway back here because we've
It's
been there when the line for Falcon was new. And it
yeah.
went backstage back here. These are just cargo ship
Containers or
shipping
whatever.
containers
Yeah.
that we just kind of weave in and out of. I don't think either it's actual storage or it's just sitting there chilling. In any case, utilize that space. Take this whole section here. I'm not sure what's in this building. But you have all of this space back here. This large building is Falcon.
I mean, the
Going
fact
goes
that we
right here.
have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge over here in this spot of the park, it means that
It
they
is
don't care about
mind-boggling.
backstage stuff anyway. So, because this was all backstage
This
back
was
in the
all
day,
backstage. Yeah.
so nothing's important. They could do anything off site. So, yeah,
Yeah. So
not
you
the
do have
craziest fun.
room. You do have room,
All
and then
right.
this whole thing on this side, this is this building on the right here is Runway Railway, but this one on the left, backstage, cast member parking, and then Team Disney, in the casting center. But if they really wanted to continue pushing past Toontown, they could.
Hmm, very
But
interesting.
yeah. So like I said, no need for Star Wars in Tomorrowland at all. Season of the
No.
Force could be Season of the Force at Batu.
Yeah.
Sure.
Once it becomes a
Uh,
toy box instead of a world, you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
that's right. So, and then Tomorrowland is another Armchair Imagineering episode.
All right.
Which
Well,
we have covered in the past. So,
yeah. I
yeah.
think
Do
I
you have
got everything off
anything?
my checklist over here. I know. Oh, yeah, we didn't mention it ourselves, so I guess I would honorable mention this. Joey and Courtney mentioned Ewoks and Jawas are things that people want to have appear in the Star Wars land over here,
Yes.
and I would love that too. No, no
Hmm.
lie. Jawas walking around over in the marketplace. Oh, just perfect.
It writes
Why not?
itself.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing this?
So I don't really care if that Bantha ride ever gets created. If anyone knows about the concept art for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, one of the early things they announced was that there was going to be a Bantha. It kind of seemed like how the omnibus is, I guess, down Main Street, where it was like a vehicle that you could ride on, but they didn't really have a clear like vision on from point A to point B. So yeah, I'm okay without that personally. Just gonna drop that out there. Is like, well, I didn't forget about it. I'm just meh.
We could have a little petting zoo.
A little petting zoo. Again, humans will break things. So
Yeah,
what are
that's
you
why they
petting?
got.
A little
They
rancor?
already they already had a little petting zoo there before with
Oh, that's
the Big
true.
Thunder Ranch.
Yeah.
So
Was it
it
a
was right in that
full-on
same
petting
spot.
zoo? Maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a petting zoo.
So we just have like goats dressed up like what's their names? The ones that Luke Skywalker cut open.
Oh, how sad.
Tauntauns. Yeah.
No, we're not cutting open anything.
No, I didn't say we cut them open. I'm just saying like they look like tauntauns. I would definitely pet a tauntaun. Baby tauntaun petting all day long. Sign me up.
I mean, there's enough creatures here on this
Dewback? Someone
earth.
wants to pet a dewback. Oh, sorry. What are you gonna say on Earth?
There's so many creatures that are otherworldly that they could have on display.
Well, I heard that they're closing the petting zoo over at Animal Kingdom. So just bring all those guys over.
There it is.
I don't
You
know how
know
that relates to
why?
Star Wars. Oh, why?
Because they should put Zootopia back there.
Yeah, they're just gonna shoehorn it back, and they changed their minds. That's not what's happening.
Fantastic. They
But we'll have to
listened to
wait and
me.
see.
All right. Well, and with that, I think I've ranted long enough. But if you have enjoyed this episode, which I hope you have, it's been fun. Please scroll down on your podcast player and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have an extra minute to leave a written review or just share it out with another armchair Imagineer, that would be awesome. It only takes a couple seconds and it just tells Apple, Spotify, and all the other players that we're doing something awesome here, and it helps out the channel. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, hi! Then don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Be sure to check out our amazing sponsors, our absolutely free Discord, and our Patreon page for all the details. Links are in the show notes below. And until next time, continue to place trust in the magic of imagination. And remember, the details within the parks surround us in our everyday lives. Imagine that. See you next time.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past. And here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.